Hello everyone and welcome to a quick take on Intravenous, a love letter to games like Splinter Cell and Hotline Miami, both of which I haven't played, but after playing the demo of this, I can understand all the hype about them. So quite recently, the demo key for this game landed in my inbox, and if I'm being completely honest, I have just spent the last 2 hours playing the same level over and over again. This game feels amazing to play, and I think that's the biggest takeaway to, grab from this here, is that it just flows so well, and it really makes you feel like a bit of a badass playing the game. Now, mind you, I take this opinion from one level of a demo that was handcrafted and provided to me for free, so there is a bit of, is this going to carry over for the rest of the game? But looking at the indie developer with his own progress online and just how he talks about things, you can clearly see that there's a lot of love and a lot of expert craft put into this. And you can see that in every single facet of this level here. First of all, the combat, the controls, the things that people are probably here, most for, they just feel so nice. I don't think there's any other word to describe them. They're just so beautifully interwoven. And at first, it took me a while to get used to it. For example, you can change your walking speed, which changes, your noise and the attention that you give to enemies, with the scroll wheel, which at first just seems a bit clunky. But all of a sudden, about an hour into playing this game, it kind of just clicks. And all of a sudden you're reacting to enemies and new game states and stuff like that. And it's clear that this was an intentional design choice. The UI is very concise and clear. You can just see everything immediately, from enemies' fields of view to important things on the map, such as the breaker boxes and the doors and all of that jazz. All the stuff pertaining to your character, the noise he's making, his walking speeds, all in the bottom left here, and it's so simple to read. And that's the thing about this game. You can either take it very slow or very fast, and so it's very important for them to have a UI, which they've done here, which is so successful, just conveying information. More on that note, you can kind of play this game stealth or loud. I'm going to pinch those terms from Payday, but quite frankly, you're not locked into one style of play. You can flip between them on the fly, which gives this game that flow, as I was talking about before. You can be stealthing around, killing enemies in the shadows, but all of a sudden you don't realize that, someone comes up and sneaks up behind you and they spot you and they raise the alarm and everyone's onto you. And here's the thing about this game, which is very clever. Stealing a line from Zero Punctuation's Yahtzee, cock-up cascade is something that plagues stealth games a lot. You get spotted, then all of a sudden the jig's up and it's much harder to do anything in this game. But fortunately, the developer has coded in a way around that. You get so many save files depending on your difficulty. So I think normal gives you 5 save slots in a mission, hard gives you 3. In a second, I'm going to suggest that this game probably needs a hard difficulty just to disable this option for people who don't want to play with it. But for those who don't want to have to deal with accidentally ruining their stealth, you can save the game beforehand. And that being said, even if you can't save or you don't want to save for whatever reason, it's really easy just to enter back into stealth once you've been called out. The AI in this game is it's just the right level of reactive and proactive. If you do get alerted, they're going to try to find you. They're going to go to your last known position from all your noise and everything. And so it's very easy in this game to I've been spotted. Let me quickly pull out my submachine gun, jump through a window and run out of there before they realize. And, they're going to try to track you down to the room where you shot that submachine gun. But ideally, you'll be long gone by them as long as you don't run into anyone else. On that note, enemies, when they're trying to pinpoint your location, if they run into any other allied enemies with them, they will call them and they will ask them to join their pursuit. That's not to say that the enemies are crazy predictable. They're predictable to an extent which I think is acceptable for a game of this type. For example, enemies that find bodies of their friends on the floor, they're going to stop and they're going to investigate the nearby area. I think that in itself is you can cheese it a bit. For example, you can just have a death room, wait for the patrols to come in and investigate the bodies that are on the floor and just kill them, and then all of a sudden there's 10 bodies in one room, which I think stuff like that needs a little bit of a workaround from the dev. But again, this game isn't releasing to the end of this quarter, I believe. So, there's time for that stuff to be worked out. I think this game has strengths in its realism and how the AI reacts and everything, and just the options it gives you to handle that. As I said before, if you get spotted in stealth, it's not the end of the world. If you're playing loud and you want to slip back into stealth, you can do that so long as you're smart about it. And on the topic of accidentally going from stealth to loud, the soundtrack of this game is just spot on. I'm just going to play a clip here of what happens to the soundtrack when you go from stealth to loud. It's pretty nice. Before I all go to tell you to wishlist and, just keep an eye on this game for when it does release, again, this quarter, I think there just needs to be a few things that have to be mentioned. First of all, I've got no idea what the pacing of this game is going to be like, and for me, I know it's going to be a major factor of whether I buy this game or not. I think the story level and character progression have to be solid. I'm not quite sure what the story is going to be like, and again, this one level was just, a one-time demo thing. The character progression, I think, is going to be the main selling point. I'm not quite sure if he's just going to say, unlock everything from the start, or gradually introduce concepts into the game as you progress. I think that should be the case, but again, I'm not the one with the vision here, so I'll leave that to the indie developer. Second of all, I think this game needs a hardcore mode. It needs an option to just be able to disable the ability to save, and naturally you can on a system it, you can just decide to not save, but I really do think this game is better when the stakes are just that high, and that, if you get caught out, you're going to die immediately. Again, this game is hardcore, it's realistic. If you get caught by an enemy and you're not ready to fight back, you are dead like that. Even if just a group of enemies gets you, you're pretty much gone immediately, and I like that about this game. It's tense and it's unforgiving in that regard. It's just that I think there needs to be an option to disable the save feature. And third of all, I think enemies should be a little bit more grouped together. They do like to spread out and patrol a fair bit, which does make the stealth side of things really easy. But from looking at the indie devlog most recent, there was one example how he showed how to take care of two enemies that are grouped together at once. So hopefully this won't be an issue. Again, I think this game needs to double down on that hardcore side of things. And if it does, I'm going to be so into it. So should you buy this game, or at least wishlist and keep it on your radar? Anyone interested in sort of realistic and tactical games definitely should keep an eye out for this one. I think my decision on whether I will buy it is going to be based on the price and the overall length. I don't think he can charge too highly for this, but again, it's going to all depend. I will keep everyone updated on this one because I am genuinely interested in it, and this has been a good example for me just to open up the door to any other indie developers that want a little bit of coverage of their game. I'm always interested in stuff like this. In conclusion, Intravenous shows you the guns, shows you the enemies, and then shows you the death screen. The time between those important milestones are some of the most fun I've had in recent memory.